If you're like so many people, you probably are feeling more exhausted than you think you should be. You're gaining weight. Your doctor is looking at your labs and saying everything looks normal. And deep down inside, you know that something is off. And you know that somehow your medical provider has not found the answers that really explain the whole story. And the problem is that so many times we go into the typical doctor's office looking for answers. They run some tests and then they tell you, well, you don't have diabetes, you don't have thyroid issues, you don't have a low enough hormone, you don't have a high enough suchity such. And you're left with feeling bad and no answers. The thing to note is that most doctors look at lab tests trying to figure out what diagnosis to give you. So it's kind of like your labs have to be bad enough that you fail enough to get the diagnosis, meaning your blood sugar has to be bad enough to be called a pre-diabetic or a diabetic, or your vitamin D has to be low enough that you would be at risk for rickets before they would say there's something wrong. In functional and integrative medicine, we have a whole different approach. When we look at labs, we're trying to figure out what is optimal for your body to function. So instead of looking for, if you will, the F students on your lab panel, we're making sure that all your labs are in the A range, because when they're in the A range, that means you have the best chances of having energy, beautiful skin, great body composition, the best ability to burn fat, feel good, have a healthy gut, a healthy brain, and everything else that you should expect from your body. Aging is not the reason you feel bad. It's because you are not getting the adequate testing to identify the real root causes to what could be ailing you. Most of the lab tests that you get at a regular doctor's office only scratch the surface, and they're missing a whole bunch of things that you could be addressing to take back control of your health. Hi, my name is Dr. Shilpa Saxena. I'm a board-certified family medicine doctor for over 20 years. I have run my own practice taking care of patients who really want to not just get a disease diagnosed and get the right pharmaceutical. No, I am working with patients who want to actually feel good. They want to have vibrant health. And so myself and a whole national network of providers who think just like me have partnered together to be able to support the needs of what real people want. We practice what is called functional and integrative medicine. So let's break that down. See, when you go to a conventional, regular, standard doctor or provider, their main goal in the 7 to 10 minutes they have with you, I'm just going to wait for the ambulance to go by so that's not in the background noise. Ambulance, ambulance. You may not be hearing it, but just in case. The difference between the conventional medical approach and the functional medicine approach is significant. See, when you go to see a typical doctor or physician assistant or nurse practitioner, they have been trained, just like me, to diagnose the issue. And then we're going to blame that issue for why you have symptoms. So we're going to diagnose you with irritable bowel syndrome. And we're going to say that's why you have constipation, or that's why you have bloating. And then we are taught to look at a list of pharmaceuticals to either symptom manage or to basically band-aid and push back the long-term risks associated with that diagnosis. And then we say, hey, hope this works. We'll see in a month. We'll see in 3 months, and let's look at it again. See, in the conventional approach, we name it, blame it, treat it, and then we street it, meaning like, all right, see you later. Hope it doesn't keep bothering you. The problem with that is most people feel like it's a revolving door. You just go in and out of that revolving door, getting more and more pharmaceuticals, but never, ever addressing the root cause. See, functional medicine is all about doing better testing, asking better questions to find out what is the root cause, and then we use integrative medicine to give you a whole bunch of other solutions that are beyond just a pill or a procedure. So in our approach, the first step to understanding what could be the reasons for why you feel unwell is to get better testing. We're going to look at things in a comprehensive functional lab test that might look into something like a nutrient deficiency, vitamin B12, vitamin D, magnesium, so many essential types of nutrients that we do not get sometimes, even if we're taking the right supplements or eating the right foods, because there's a gut problem. And we're going to test for things related to your gut. We'll also test for something that you've probably heard of called inflammation and oxidative stress. Inflammation is the hidden secret root cause to so many issues, and most lab panels don't really check for all kinds of inflammation, and they don't screen for autoimmunity. I can't tell you how many times my providers and myself will be the ones who diagnose a hidden autoimmune condition or risk. And here's the beautiful thing. In functional and integrative medicine, we're not here just to name your problem and say, hey, you've got autoimmune disease, such and such. Because we have studied root cause medicine, we can actually say your autoimmune issue that we've just found through better lab testing is due to your gut. It's due to your vitamin D deficiency. It's due to the excess of this environmental toxin. It's due to your B12 being low, and that's why your brain doesn't have the fuel it needs to be able to focus, and so on and so forth. So you see that if most lab tests are only there to tell you if you're sick or diseased, they're not really looking to catch the problems that are lurking and or the problems that exist that they're not even checking for. They're not checking also for hormone imbalances or hormone metabolism issues. I can say that the average lab panel is not looking for pre-diabetes or pre-diabetes. It's not looking for what your stress hormones called cortisol and DHEA are doing. They're not looking to help you resolve that low energy, that weight problem that you've been trying to work on for so long, the sleep disturbance that you've just kind of pawned off as, well, I'm just getting old. You are not getting old when you're 40, 50, 60 years old and dealing with this. You are meant to be young and vibrant and into the later decades of your life. So the solution is pretty clear. We just want you to know that you can have a more detailed look at your hormones, your metabolism, which includes your thyroid, insulin, your adrenal hormones. We'll look at inflammation markers, oxidative stress markers, which will tell you if your brain and cells are literally rusting from the inside out. And of course, we're going to work to understand if one of the most important systems in your body, your digestive system, is in balance. See, when you start to look at all these things and you look at it as a whole, you start to see the big picture of what's going on for a person. I have to tell you, one of the biggest complaints that I hear from patients when they choose to do better testing and deeper evaluations is they are so relieved that someone is going to look at them as a whole. You've probably either experienced this personally, or maybe you have seen somebody else go through this process. They have some sort of issue, let's call it abdominal pain, bloating, and constipation. They try things over the counter, not good enough. They look up things on the internet and then go to the health food store, take some supplements based on whatever influencer they're listening to. Not good enough. So they're like, fine, I think I'll have to go see the doctor about this. They go to see the doctor, and within 7 to 10 minutes, there is either a diagnosis or a referral to, let's say in this example, a GI doctor. So you get some sort of Band-Aid, drug, or over-the-counter suggestion, which you've already tried, and it's not working. So now you're going to go to see the specialist. And when you see the specialist might do more lab tests, but still not to the level that we will look at you with functional lab testing. So that GI doctor evaluates you, gives you a more fancy prescription, a probably more hardcore prescription. Maybe you get a request to get a colonoscopy or an endoscopy. And all this time, you continue to not know the root cause of your abdominal pain, bloating, and constipation. And then they do testing, you get a drug, and I want you to insert any other diagnosis. It's not just for gut health issues. At some point, the GI doctor will say, I don't think this is in your gut. I think you need to go see, maybe, and then they'll send you to another doctor. Oh, you seem to be having this symptom. I don't think your problem is in my department. I think that bloating might actually be up higher. Maybe it's something related to your heart. Go see the heart doctor. So then you're kind of booted over to another doctor who's going to do the same thing, but only in their department. And if you can imagine a tree, it's like you were sent from one branch of the tree and now you're told to go to another branch. And all too often, there's going to be that doctor who says, listen, I've done everything I can in this department. Maybe you need to go see the rheumatologist because of that rash and those joint pains you're talking about. And what people feel like is because they have a constellation of symptoms that they can't piece together, they feel like they're booted from doctor to doctor, specialist to specialist, drug to drug, procedure to procedure. And they're like, I wish all these providers would just talk to each other because it's all connected somehow. And nobody is looking at my whole entire big tree problem. Because if they were, they would see that whenever I get stressed, I get a rash and my belly pains worsen. See, until someone looks at you as an integrated whole person and understands that your tree is not just a bunch of separate branches, that tree has roots that go into soil. And if you're not looking at nutrition, exercise, toxins, all that type of stuff, you can't really understand why that tree isn't working as well as it could. I want you to get that the functional and integrative medical approach goes way beyond the basics. It's not looking at you in pieces. It's looking at you as though you are a full, complete, connected human, because that is what you are. And when we look at you as a whole, we start to see patterns and possibilities for what connects this branch of the tree to these two branches of the tree. Like it could be a vitamin D deficiency. And we, by looking at your labs, can start to develop insights that you can then take actions to start to make improvements on for better health. See, without knowing what's going on by doing better testing and working with integrative whole person thinkers as your medical professionals, you're going to continue to be treated as though you're pieces. And when you start having someone who's been trained in a root cause approach, look at your labs and understand that you're not interested in just making sure you don't have a disease. You're interested in actually feeling healthy. Then they can look at those unique markers and start to say, well, this is the pattern that could be going on for you, that it could explain your fatigue, your off and on constipation, your hot flashes or low muscle or metabolism issues or your high cholesterol or your pre-diabetes or your chronic pains. You see, once you get clues into what's going on for the whole tree, you can take care of the tree as a whole. If I was a master gardener and someone asked me to go look at a mango tree that didn't seem to be looking healthy and full of juicy mangoes, if I'm a master gardener, would I only look at one branch and then say, hey, this tree looks fine? I would never do that. I wouldn't also just look at one lab or one leaf and say, nope, this tree is fine. That's so narrow and focused. A master gardener would look at the whole tree and not just the tree. When you work with a functional integrative provider, we know that the tree is also a part of an environment. We have to look at the air, the soil, the hydration. Are the roots absorbing? See, we have to do that with the human body. And when you can analyze labs that help you understand a lot more of those factors that are affecting the mango tree, then now you're being a master of your own health. You have the ability not only to address the health problems you're dealing with today, but to prevent future health problems before they even start. Because you know, if you're a master gardener, if the soil is missing something, let's say it's vitamin D or vitamin B12 and a specific form of B12, which is like a methylated B12 that we can again understand through better testing. Well, we know that if you never replace the vitamin D enough or use the right kind of vitamin B12, that mango tree has no real possibility of being healthy now or in the future. But when you do better testing that's more accurate about the root causes, you have the potential to optimize the whole health of the tree, which would look like more energy, better performance, longevity, more fruit, and all your beauty gets to express itself because the tree is fully nurtured, because it's been evaluated that way. Hey men, I wanted to do a special call out for you. I want you to understand specifically how the Forum Foundation's lab test can help you unlock peak performance by getting you answers that you just don't get from a typical doctor's office. So whether you've got low energy, whether you're gaining weight in that midsection, maybe you've got this brain fog that's holding you back. I know you want to get back to your youthful performance physically and mentally, sexually. All those things are important for overall health. So here's the thing. I know you remember the time when you felt strong and you were focused, you were driven. You could behave mostly and probably misbehave a little bit, and you were still able to stay in shape. But now you find yourself dragging throughout the day. You have to sometimes feel like you're overly restricted in order to stay in shape. And your motivation is slipping because you're sick of it. You're tired. Something actually changed. And guess what? It's not because you're old. It's not because you're aging. That's not it. What it is something beneath the surface that your typical lab panel hasn't looked at. So see, many men that come to see functional and integrative medical providers face these symptoms. And yet, they are confused that the conventional lab tests missed these answers. See, with better testing, like there is with Forum Foundation's lab test, you get deeper insights by looking at hormonal imbalances, nutritional deficiencies, metabolic problems related to your thyroid, your pancreas, your gut. All that can have a huge and profound impact on what you're feeling every single day. As a physician myself, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I have taken care of thousands of men over that time. And during that time, I have helped them understand how a functional and integrative approach can absolutely help them regain their strength, energy, focus, stamina, endurance, libido, all of it. There is science and evidence that exists that allows men to reestablish healthy nutrients, hormones, metabolism, cut back on that inflammation, cut back on that oxidative stress that's aging your cells and your brain, cut back on that inflammation and oxidative stress that could be aging your cells and your brain, and really get you back to a more youthful version of you. And I don't mean that when you are 50, you cannot get back to what you felt like in your 30s. Do not think that if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and even in your 70s, that you cannot feel as good as you did in your 30s. See, most men don't realize that their energy, mood, and performance are driven by key biomarkers like free and total testosterone, cortisol, deeper thyroid tests, inflammation markers, uric acid. See, your standard lab panel that you get once a year, you're entrusting that little scratch the surface lab panel to find the deep answers. You'd never do that for your business or for your finances. You would never take this cursory look at your finances and say, hey, I'm good. You just wouldn't. And why would you do that with your body? It's one of the biggest commodities and assets that you have. You want to take good care of it. And if it is telling you, I'm tired, I'm just not going to burn off this weight anymore, I'm just not even motivated, buddy, it's time to look beyond your traditional lab tests. So the solution is quite easy. We have created a Forum Foundation's lab test that allows you to look at the most powerful markers that we have found through hundreds of years of experience in our national network that will give you the complete picture of your hormones, metabolism, and other key health markers so that you can know what's working and what's not working as well as it should, and then you can get to work on it so you can just perform at your best. If you're trying to figure out, is it me who needs to be tested? I want you to consider this checklist. Number one, if you're struggling with low energy, weight gain, low libido, erectile dysfunction, an inability to keep muscle on or put muscle on, or even if you're losing muscle, If you're having any type of brain symptoms, like a lack of focus, a lack of executive processing, a mental health, memory functions, this test is for you. You could say, hey, listen, I don't know how I found this, but I'm not having any problems. Well, see, here's the thing. You could be at the cusp of a stage where you're going to start developing problems because you haven't had enough vitamin D or your testosterone is getting to the tipping point. So even if you feel pretty good, you may want to double check that those deep markers of health are in balance. So whether you feel good or not, don't you want to ensure that you have present and future health, present and future energy, that you have access to longevity, which is not just living a long life, but having a long life with a lot of good years under your belt. And during those good years, don't you want to have your hormones and nutrition and nutrients in balance so you get to have peak performance? Whether you want to work hard or play hard or travel far, you want the choice, right? And especially if you've been told, hey, listen, I'm sorry you feel bad, but your labs look pretty good. I don't know what's going on. You are the perfect candidate for Forum Foundation's lab testing. It's going to give you the answers that you need. So I'm going to ask you to stop settling. Stop settling for good enough. Stop settling for, I guess this is what a 50-year-old should feel like, and unlock your peak performance. Click the link to get started. Get started on reverse aging. It is possible. You've seen a tree or a plant, it's basic biology. If a plant doesn't look good and it's missing water, it starts to function better when you water it. It's basic common sense, but you don't know what that tree needs to be a full, vibrant tree unless you do the proper testing and evaluation. So give yourself the ability to live your best life. And if you feel like there are other people that rely on your brain and your body being at peak performance, give your community a chance to see the best version of you. You deserve it first and foremost. But we all get to benefit when you are at your best health. Take care and be well. So I invite you to not wait until your symptoms are bad enough to get the answers you deserve. You have the opportunity to get testing that will give you insights that you can then use to take action. Whether you feel good or not, to know that you are healthy on a deep level by getting proper functional testing, you will have something that is worth its weight in gold, which is peace of mind. So I invite you to sign up for the Forum Foundation's lab tests today. You have every ability to take care of yourself and not rely on a system that is just waiting for you to get more and more diseased so it can add on more and more medications and side effects and that whole thing. You owe it to yourself, and I can bet you that there are a bunch of other people who love you and rely on you and would love to see you being in the best health that is possible for you. We look forward to partnering with you and being part of the solution that you deserve. So you might be thinking, I don't know if I'm sick enough to need this test, or how do you know if I'm the right person who would benefit from the test? Should I be the person who gets the test? Well, you need to consider asking yourself some questions that you might have kind of just pushed away because you're like, well, everybody my age is tired. Everybody my age is gaining weight. or struggling with focus. Nope, that's not true. I want you to know that here in my 50s, I feel better than I did in my 30s because I didn't settle for aging as the reason for why I didn't feel well and why I had 5 diseases at the age of 32. It wasn't until I switched my thinking to whole systems, functional and integrative medicine with all its beautiful testing, did I start to see that there were things that I could be doing differently. Because in my early 30s, I didn't feel like myself. It doesn't even matter what age you are. If you know that you have felt better and there was a point at which something changed, it's probably like something happened to your tree at that point. Something got into the soil or something wasn't in the soil that was feeding the tree. So if you continue to have annoying symptoms, whether it be energy, weight issues, hormone imbalances, brain fog, digestive issues that are just annoying, yeah, they're not killing you. You can still live with these, but you are sure there is something that is not happening correctly in your body. Do the lab test, get the answers. You know yourself. Do not let any other person tell you that you should settle for being in pain or being tired or just dealing with hormonal imbalances. It's not the truth. You could be working with people who understand your goal is to maximize your health. I want you to also consider doing this lab test if you've gone to the conventional doctors and you still are being told that your labs are normal or there's nothing wrong with your labs. It could be that you actually feel okay. And what you want is to make sure there's nothing hiding in a deeper set of labs that's going to be a problem in the future, meaning you think you feel pretty good right now, but you'd like to know, is there anything that I could do to optimize my health even more? And I don't want to wait for the problems to occur. I want to find them out right now. I want to be proactive. You'd be another wonderful candidate for the functional and integrative medical approach that includes better labs. So let's tell you a little bit about what better labs look like. A typical lab test by your conventional doctor that's done annually kind of looks like this. It's a fasting lipid panel. They might check your blood count. They might check your kidney and liver to make sure it's not extremely off. Maybe they'll check one lab test for your thyroid. And that's about it. A small handful of tests that you are going to trust to be the one-time indicator of how you're doing for a whole year before you test again. It just doesn't make logical sense. You would never, if you're running a business or running your family, have such few data points and then trust that everything's going to be okay. You want more data. You want better information. And what does that look like? Well, if we want to talk and go back to that tree example, we want to have more information about what's in the soil, what's the quality of the soil that's feeding your tree. So we want to look into nutrients. We want to look at your hormones. We want to look at the hormones that are necessary to improve growth of muscle. We want to look at the hormones that tell us if your stress management glands are overworked or depleted or hyperactive. Because if that's happening, you're releasing too much cortisol, and that could be the reason why you're tired and overweight. we want to look to see, do you have an early sign of insulin and blood sugar problems? The facts show that most people are diagnosed with pre-diabetes or diabetes usually 5 to 10 years after they've been actually having the problem. And in those 5 to 10 years where the tests were superficial and didn't dig deep enough to find out if this was your issue, that extra insulin and blood sugar has been making you tired. It's been damaging your blood vessels, putting you at higher risk for a heart attack and stroke. It's been aging your cells. It's been increasing your risk for dementia and so much more. So in addition to nutrients, in addition to looking at hormones and metabolism with a much deeper thyroid analysis, we also will look at markers of detoxification and oxidative stress. Is your mango tree effectively able to remove toxins that are getting in through the air or through the soil or on the surface of the leaves or the trunk? That's an essential part of the health of a tree. And there should be proper testing to make sure that your systems that help you get rid of harmful substances are working well and not overloaded. We also do much deeper analysis of inflammation. We don't wait for your organs to show damage to know that inflammation was likely there. We're looking for inflammation through multiple lab tests. We're poking around the tree looking for multiple signs that it could be inflamed. Because the beauty is, once we identify a nutrient deficiency, an inflammation marker that's off, or a hormone that is off, you can meet with a provider who can then give you personalized answers on how to help your entire tree get better. Not random cookie cutter recipes that tell you everybody should take this. Nope. Specific and to the lab. And again, you might want this because you have a symptom that's annoying. Maybe you want to know this information because you're trying to prevent a disease that runs in your family. Or maybe you feel great and you just want to make sure that I've got longevity so I continue to feel great into my 50s and 60s and 70s. And yes, into your 80s. It is completely possible. So when you're thinking about doing this testing, you have access to real answers about what's really happening to your entire body and specifically root causes that can help you with issues today or tomorrow. And all of those things, and here's the big difference, are not designed for us to make you feel scared about, oh, well, you have a blood sugar issue, or you have a hormone imbalance, or you have inflammation. I can understand if at the end of this lab test, we tell you everything that's wrong with you and you feel like, oh, that's just going to scare me and make me feel more worried. The beauty is we do not test for things that we cannot improve and correct and reverse. So the beauty is that you get to find the things that you can actually do something about with our help. Really partner to make the key steps it will take to get your mango tree from being this yellow leaf, droopy, non-flourishing tree to being this beautiful, vibrant tree that is reaching out, expressing itself, and providing its community with beautiful fruit. That is the authentic nature of who you are and what you can be if you just had better answers. So I invite you to not wait until your symptoms are bad enough to get the answers you deserve. You have the opportunity to get testing that will give you insights that you can then use to take action. Whether you feel good or not, to know that you are healthy on a deep level by getting proper functional testing, you will have something that is worth its weight in gold, which is peace of mind. So I invite you to sign up for the Forum Foundation's lab tests today. You have every ability to take care of yourself and not rely on a system that is just waiting for you to get more and more diseased so it can add on more and more medications and side effects and that whole thing. You owe it to yourself, and I can bet you that there are a bunch of other people who love you and rely on you and would love to see you being in the best health that is possible for you. We look forward to partnering with you and being part of the solution that you deserve. Take care and be well.